You can complain about whoever you want in therapy. Yep.
Is that, I guess it's a lot of marital stuff, huh? Probably.
Like I said, it's a lot of relational things. There's a lot to it that is relational. And the goal
What?
is to help people determine, well, it's really not up to us to make the goal. It's up to the client to make the goal. But do they want to have more fruitful relationships with the people that they are already in relationships with? Do they want to work on relationships they haven't yet started?
Okay.
Pick
What happens
relationships
when these, what
that.
happens when these conversations go towards the bedroom area with the husband wife problems? Is
Uh,
that,
say what more about what you mean that there.
well, is it also sex therapy too, or no?
People are sex therapists, sure. So
I mean,
yeah.
in your group,
We have, I think we have one or two therapists that can do that work more. When I say intimately, I don't mean it. I have to be careful about how I say that.
yeah.
But they have more training in it. It's not, you don't just, anything that we do, we want to have good, adequate training in. We don't just talk about
No, I
random things.
understand, but my point is when couples come in, I can only imagine that a lot of times it drifts that way. It drifts
Sure.
towards the
Most
intimate
therapists
stuff.
are pretty candid and they don't really, not much phases us when we
Oh, I
talk
bet.
about
I'm
stuff.
sure. Oh, I'm sure you've probably heard it all,
Talk
right?
about
Have you?
anything. Yeah. I mean, you bring
And
it
this,
up, it's fine. We want to create that environment for people too, to make sure that they have a place where they can talk about that without feeling judged or um
yeah.
just that they have the space to do that for sure.
You've been doing this long enough to where are you probably not shocked anymore, are you? You're
Not
probably
really. I'm not shocked about much. Nope.
you've seen, you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the dark side, the good side. You've seen it all.
Yeah, and I think again, the important part is that a therapist comes at it with a non-judgmental lens.
Are most people good?
Therapists?
No, people. Are most people
Oh,
are most people just good, or are you
you're asking me
are you scarred now over
you're
based on
asking
what you
me a
see?
philosophical question, really.
Well, I mean, are most people inherently good or no? Or
I
what
would
is
say,
your
yeah, sure. I would say that most people are good or first of all, I want to scrap that language. Okay.
okay?
The good and bad is not really something in my
Ah,
vocabulary.
I see.
Uh, I prefer healthy or not healthy or,
I see.
um, because good or bad, good and bad is a judgment and judgment by whom, right? So
Talk about
if you
going deep. Talk about going deep.
if you have a client who comes in and they feel like they're bad according to
Bad
whom,
according to whom? Yeah. Mm, mm, yeah.
right? I mean, I've had people who, well, I can't really talk too much about client related stuff, but
Right. Right.
come in
Right.
with questions like that. And I'm like, who's to determine that?
Have you I'm sure you've dealt with sociopaths, right? They just have no remorse whatsoever. They're just bad people. I'm sure you've seen that.
I have worked in a variety of different contexts. Uh, in my organization, we don't see too many sociopaths come through, but I have in my earlier career. Uh, I mean, even I've worked with sex offenders, and honestly, I've worked with some pretty amazing men who have been sex offenders.
They came
So,
out of it. They're okay now.
um,
I don't know. Are you ever okay? Yeah, I
they're
don't know. That's a good question.
well, I mean, they did some their behaviors, they did some awful things to some people.
Yeah.
Again, this goes back to bad or good, like bad behavior.
What happens when what happens if they confess to a crime? Is that doctor patient privilege thing? What happens? What do you
It is, well, sort of. If it was a child,
okay?
we are required to report that.
I got you.
If it's anybody under 18, we're required, it doesn't matter what the statute, I mean, because the statute of limitations could be lengthy, we actually have to report that no matter what if it was a child.
I got
If
you.
so, I always say to my therapist when I'm training them, if your client has somebody buried in their backyard and they reveal that to you, as long as it's not a kid, you can't report it. If they say, I'm going to go kill my wife and bury her in my backyard, you have a duty to report that.
Oh, I see. So if it's something that hasn't happened yet,
Correct. And you have enough information that you need,
but if
that
you
you can
say,
warn the
but
person.
if you say I dated this lady 30, I just watched one of my wife's always watching these murder mystery
I'm not
shows.
trying to give your viewers any tips here, okay? Um,
So
but yes,
fascinating. I killed a girlfriend 30 years ago. She's in the backyard buried, but can't say nothing.
I cannot say, is she was older than 18 at the time, then nope, I can't.
Wow, that is wild. Okay, I definitely
What
got
I
to tell
do
her.
is I process that with my client.
You try to get him to confess.
No, I
Why
process
not?
that with my client.
Why not try to get him to confess?
That's not my job.
Okay, okay, okay. This is fascinating stuff, though. I
My
bet you
job
so.
is to support that
You know,
client.
you know why I ask about the sociopath stuff? Because I'm like the complete opposite. Like I could have never been a criminal. I just could have never been a criminal. You know, to tell you this, I got to tell you this quick story. I was on a, I'll make this short. I was up in the mountains because I go up the mountains all the time, messing around in my Jeep, camping.
Mhm.
I was on a forest road, and I got back in here on this long forest road. It was miles long. There's still a lot of snow around. Well, I came to a section where there was a locked gate, and the highway was like right on the other side of this locked gate. So I could either bust the lock or go like 20 miles back the other way, which would have taken me like 2 hours.
And you went
Well,
the 20 minutes.
so no. I cut the lock because I always carry bolt cutters. I cut the lock. I felt guilty for like weeks. I was like, it's like I robbed a bank or something. I kept telling my wife, I'm like, the forest rangers are going to show up at the house and arrest me or whatever. And I was thinking, I was thinking I'm the complete opposite. But I
So
guess
guilt is an emotion that you
okay.
can work on with your newest therapist when you decide who your therapist is going to be.